Hello everyone, happy Saturday. I hope your coffee's strong and your breakfast hits the spot. Honestly, this week has been a complete and utter mess for me. I've been off work, I've been completely out of routine, and if I'm being truthful, I've gone a bit off the rails this week. That's not because the Mounjaro stopped working, not because the medication has failed, and not because of anybody else. This one is 100% on me. I think sometimes when routine disappears, you suddenly realise how much that structure was actually holding things together. The meals drift, the snacks creep in. You start telling yourself, I'll reset tomorrow, I'll reset the day after. And before you know it, you've had a week that's completely off. And I wanted to be 100% honest about that because I know a lot of people watching the channel are probably going through exactly the same thing right now. So this Saturday check-in, it isn't really about perfection at all this week. It's about getting honest before a bad week turns into a bad month. So I'm Amanda's Midlife and I've been taking Mounjaro now for approximately 11 months. I am 76 pounds down. Every single Sunday without fail, I inject 10 milligrams into my belly. This channel is all about highlighting the highs, the lows, and all the bits in between. And this week, it's all about lows. We'll have a quick check-in and then we'll move on to answer some of the questions that you've sent in this week. Bearing in mind, I am not a medical professional. So let's talk about this week, shall we? Now, for me, I think this week's been the worst week I've had since I started this weight loss journey, since I started taking this medication. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you'll know as soon as structure and routine goes out the window, my healthy eating habits also go out the window. And that's exactly what's happened this week. So as you can see, I'm not at home this week. I am actually dog sitting. I'm dog sitting for my son and his wife whilst they're away in France. That has posed problems. That has brought problems galore because for me, the routine's gone, the structure's gone. I've started grazing, I've started eating more treats. It's not been anything dramatic, it's not been anything that's happened overnight. And for me, it's a massive reminder that routine is doing more work than I ever realised. So with me being off work, my natural structure around meals and activity completely disappears. I've not been to the gym this week, and I found myself eating because I've been bored rather than hungry. In essence, my days have become less planned and I've become more reactive. And it's made me realise how important for me personally systems are, not just motivation. Now, I've lost a huge amount of weight on this journey, but that doesn't mean I can take my foot off the gas. That doesn't mean I can just eat what I want. So for me now, it's about taking responsibility. I'm not blaming Mounjaro. I'm not blaming being off work, and I'm not blaming anyone else. This week was a result of the choices that I made. And let's be honest, for me, that's quite empowering because if the choices got me here, my choices can get me back on track. So I'm not going to panic. It's about getting back to the habits that were working. And I know I don't cope very well when I don't have routine, when I don't have that motivation every single day. And this is the worst I've been off the rails since I started. So for me, it's about being honest with you lot because, you know, you are the Mounjaro community. I'm one man sat in front of a camera. Without you, there is no community. So you're the community. It would be so easy for me just to sit here and talk about the easy weeks, the good weeks. But real life isn't perfect, is it? And I want this channel to show the whole journey, not just the highlight reel, not just the best bits. I need to show the dodgy bits, the bad bits, the wobbly bits. And I also know that many people watching this video will have had bad weeks exactly like this. And one bad week doesn't define your entire journey. The danger isn't a bad week, is it? It's convincing yourself you've failed and you've given up. And I haven't given up. I know I haven't given up. I've just had a bad week. So for me, the focus is simply about getting back to the routine next week because progress isn't built on the perfect weeks. Progress is built on what you do after an imperfect week. So I'm drawing a line under this one. I'm learning from it and I'm getting back to work with the mindset that I know that my structure is so important to me. Now, I'm going to have a look at some of the questions that you've sent in this week. Some absolute crackers, as always. If, however, I don't read out your question, it's not because I didn't like the question. It's not because I didn't think it was good enough to read out on the channel. It is purely because I'm limited on time. So if it's not read out this week, it will be read out next week or the following week. Right, so quickly, before we answer the questions that you've sent in, please bear in mind I'm not a medical expert. I'm not a wellness expert. I'm not a weight loss expert. I'm not an expert in any way, really. I am purely sharing what I've learned in my journey so far, Should you be on a similar journey, or should you be contemplating starting a weight loss journey? This is all about sharing that little bit of knowledge with the community. So first question today has been sent in by Core PC2MQ. Do you believe reaching go weight will make you happy? I've lowered my go weight twice now, because when I got there I thought, you know what, I can do a bit more. BMI is 26, currently down from 35. What I'm realising is the scales don't matter, even though I monitor it way too much. It's how it feels within yourself. What are your thoughts, please? I was quite late setting my go weight, so I started this without really a go weight in mind. I didn't have anything that I was set out to sort of reach, and it wasn't until around about Christmas, I think it was, when I set a goal, which was 16 stone. I don't know what I'm going to feel like when I get there, and I don't know how I'm going to react, but I know I certainly feel a lot healthier. I feel like I'm in a better place physically and mentally than I was when I was 22 stone 11 when I first started this journey. I get what you're saying. There's always the temptation to get yourself in a position where you think, do you know what, I'd probably do a little bit more. I could lose another 6-7 pounds and I'd be even happier. That is the temptation, isn't it? And that is maybe even a trap that we can fall into. I think it's a case of watch this space. But I do understand what you're saying, and it makes perfect sense. And you know, you're ahead of me in the journey because you've already reached your first go weight. Right, next up we have got one from Spiky Jules. I have a suggestion for Q&A. I've just reached target after 1 year and a 5 stone loss. That's absolutely fantastic. Well done. I'd been bagging up my larger clothes as I moved into smaller ones and putting them in the loft in case I couldn't keep the weight off. This week I was adding some things of my husband's to Vinted. I realised that even if I put the weight on, I couldn't put those clothes on ever again, nor could I alter any clothes to fit me now. Clearly I associated these clothes with how I felt about the old me. It came as a massive revelation to me 12 months into the journey. I really get that. I can really relate to that. I had to sort out probably about 2-3 weeks ago now and got rid of all my clothes. And like you, I was keeping clothes back in case there was a time when I needed those larger clothes again. I'm not sure if I associated those clothes with the old me, the chubbier me, or whether it was more of a safety net and a money saving, that if I did put the weight back on, then I've got a whole wardrobe full of larger clothes for when I possibly needed them. I'm not sure. It's not an angle I've looked at before, but I get it. And it may well be that you've hit the nail on the head, and that is how I'm feeling. I just don't realise it yet. But it's a really interesting concept, and I do like that idea of you've packaged it all up, you've sold it, or you've taken it to the charity shop, you've completely cleared the old you away, and it's the clean sweep through for the new you. And I do like that idea. It's absolutely fantastic. But for me, it was more about keeping them just in case I needed them, because I was too tight to buy new clothes. I think that was the gist of what I was trying to say. So next up today, we've got a question from Alan Dean 6692. I've been on it now for 6 weeks and I've lost 16 pounds, but not without its problems. When my dose was increased to 5 milligrams, I broke out in a rash that was so itchy I thought I was ripping my skin off. Has anyone else had this issue? I've had the occasional rash. Maybe 1 week in 4, I'll get on my belly, I'll get a little sort of red mark, which is itchy for a couple of days, but I've not had anything as severe as what you're talking about. It does seem to be a fairly common problem. I have heard that a lot, to be honest. Obviously, you're putting a needle in you, so there's going to be a little bit of sort of physical trauma from that needle entering your skin. They also say, or I have heard, and again, not a medical expert, I have heard people say that if they take it out of the fridge, let it get to room temperature, then inject it, they avoid getting the rashes. Some people are just hypersensitive to the medication. Some people are hypersensitive to the alcohol wipe. It is just a bit of a byproduct of taking an injection, I guess, isn't it? You've got to weigh up whether you think it's worth that discomfort for the health benefits and the losing weight side of it. If anyone's experienced anything similar, just pop it down below in the comments, and I'm sure Alan Dean 6692 would appreciate your points of view. Right, that is about it for questions today. If I didn't read out your question this week, please do not despair. It will be on a future Saturday video. And if you've got a question for Saturday check-ins, just pop it down below and I'll add it to the list. I would like to thank you all for watching the video. Whether you've had a great week, a bad week, or gone completely off the rails like I have, I appreciate every single one of you spending a little bit of your Saturday with me. I know how precious time is, and I'm always conscious of keeping these weekend videos a little bit shorter if I can. One thing I've learned on this journey is that progress isn't about having the perfect weeks every single week. It's about what you do next, and that's what I'm going to carry forward into next week. If you haven't watched my Wednesday video, I would encourage you to give it a watch. I'll pop it on the screen shortly, and it's called Before You Increase Your Dose. It's a video I felt strongly about making because moving up isn't always as straightforward as people may think it would be. The response to that video has been absolutely fantastic, and the discussion in the comments has been brilliant too. If you could like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the hype button, turn on your notifications, I would greatly appreciate it too. It does all sorts of crazy stuff to YouTube algorithm, and it allows me to share my journey with more people, and in turn I can learn from the comments and having more interactions with people. Hope you have an amazing weekend. I will see you all on Wednesday. Look after yourselves and take care now.